inside. They make their way to the judges' line, and Van Glory will be the winner. In a very close photo for second and third, we've got Regal Garrison and John Ho locked together. Local fighting back on the inside, and Mr. Averill on the outer, and Mr. Averill's got to the front and wins it from Gay Local and Mate Command. Alongside of Courtnall was Deus, then Sweet Lou. It's followed by Scottish Fear and Jellio. So they come to the judges' line, they're neck and neck, but Dancing Step will win it from Morpheus and
Trotting, the action attraction. Wheel to wheel, finish after finish. Come Trotting, the
Hutt Park Raceway, home of the Wellington Trotting Club, New Zealand. This magnificent trotting track, 4.5 furlongs in length, in which Cardigan Bay paced a mile in a record-breaking time of 1 minute 56 1/5 seconds, is the mecca of trotting activities in the Wellington area. Pictured in the centre of the track is the big top of the Moscow Circus during its visit in the summer of 1971. The Wellington Trotting Club holds 8 night meetings per year, with races attracting class horses from all parts of New Zealand. Betting figures through the totalisator each year are well over $3 million, with crowds averaging 7,000 each night. However, the club did not always race at Hutt Park. In fact, it started holding meetings at Kilbirnie in the 1890s. 8 meetings each year, 6 races each meeting.
Wednesday, 23rd of January, 1895.
1916 was the year that the club moved its headquarters to the present site, and in 1922 R.A. Armstrong was elected president. He was to instigate many changes, including the laying of a new grass track. J.E. August was president from 1931 to 1945 and saw many changes at the park, including the club holding its meetings at Trentham during the war years. Harold Logan was a household name at the time. Another favourite with the crowds was Highland Fling, twice winner of the New Zealand Cup. He paced a world record time for the mile at Hutt Park in 1949. Hutt Park planning.
I noticed recently in your paper that the Wellington Trotting Club, after many years of hibernation, is coming to life again.
Mr. Norman Croft was president of the Wellington Trotting Owners, Breeders and Trainers Association, and he told their 1954 annual meeting that he was most optimistic night trotting would soon be introduced at Hutt Park. Vic McPhail, president of the Wellington Trotting Club, said,
"If there is only one reason why we should go into night trotting, it is because of the dates on which we race."
Norm Croft suggested a scheme to improve facilities and attract larger crowds to the raceway. His plan included making a 4-furlong all-weather track, elevated 3 feet, and build 2 tunnels under it, allowing 1,500 cars to park in the centre of the oval. The grandstand would seat 10,000 people compared to 2,600. Mr. Croft envisaged stables concentrated in one area, and also the provision of accommodation for visiting trainers and drivers. However, it was not to be. The committee defeated the proposal to improve the raceway, and day racing was to continue through the 1950s. Committee man Dick Sweetser.
Trotting was only just beginning to increase in popularity in the North Island, and the cost of it was a terrific factor which clubs have to consider, the cost of trotting today.
Come trotting today. Get in on the fun. Come trotting today. Come on and make tracks. Come trotting today. What a way to relax. Come trotting today. Get in on the fun. Come trotting today. Come on and make tracks. Come trotting today. What a way to relax. Come trotting today. Forget all your cares. Come trotting today.
And go, yeah!
Of course, day racing at the park had its personalities. Fred Cutts, one of the best trainers in the 1950s. Norm Croft with Ra Pointer, an Age Bay gelding and a frequent visitor to the parks. Well-known Happy Griffin and Brother Albert both worked for Don Nyhan when he raced at Hutt Park. Red Jenny, a good trotter with driver Bill Harris.
Ra Pointer won 8 races during his career and ran many places. He also raced in Australia, never won, but was placed 3 times.
Clerk of the course, Frank Gray.
Racing on the grass was more or less a social event. There was 45 minutes between races, not so spectacular for the public as a spectacle.
Everyone probably got a little more enjoyment of the more leisure time during a day meeting. The track was bigger and you seemed to get more of a chance to get a good run. It was a really excellent grass track, one of the best, I'm sure, in the country.
The club's stipendiary stewards included Harry Nichols, Alec Wallace and Tim Morton, the handicapper. Red Jenny was later to win a few races in Australia and then be sold there. Norm Croft raced regularly at the park, and Impala was another one of his horses, this day to be driven by Bill Harris.
Bill Harris drove Impala for a win. Impala, by Springbok from Sari Marais, was to win during her career over £3,000 in stake money.
Jackie Hughes, another regular visitor, and Roy Mackenzie, who had his first win on Scottish Command at the park.
I remember going to front fairly early and trying to judge the pace as best I could. We hit the home straight, still in front, and halfway down, Jack Hughes came with a late run on the inside, and I remember thinking he might just head me, but he didn't survive, and I think I beat him by about a head.
Day racing on a fine day was fun. Total Idaho turnover was nearly £720,000, and dividends for favourites tended to be slightly higher than they are these days. Times were naturally slower on the grass compared to today's hard track records.
Jack Shaw and Vodka visiting Hutt Park before the historic trip to the United States. In 1956, Vodka, a 9-year-old trotter, was the first New Zealand horse to go to the States. He won 2 qualifying races at Roosevelt Raceway and went on to win a mile race at Vernon Downs, and then competed at tracks around New York State, winning nearly $35,000 in purses. Rebans, an 8-year-old pacer from Australia, also went to the United States in 1956 with Noel Simpson, a top horseman. Rebans held the mile record of 1 minute 58 4/5 at Harold Park in Sydney, and is seen here giving an exhibition at Hutt Park. Note the particularly long striding gait. Rebans' record at Harold Park was broken in 1968 by Halwes, yet critics claim Simpson was a few years ahead of his time in going to the States. Rebans replied by winning a mile race at Roosevelt in 2 minutes and 3 3/5 seconds, and at 2 minutes and 6 at Yonkers Raceway.
Day racing at Hutt Park was to end on the 7th of November 1959. The Wellington Trotting Club had decided to turn the grass track into an all-weather track and introduce night trotting, 6 years after Norm Croft had first proposed it. A committee headed by Roy Mackenzie investigated the best way of remodelling the track and what facilities would be required. Then the workmen swung into action.
The committee decided at the time to get the measurements from America, and we had plans, and we went into it properly.
We studied the American track plans as much as we could, and on this felt the bends had to be banked considerably more than most people realised. The banking on the outside of the track involved about 6 foot higher on the outside than the inside.
A good deal of controversy took place over the cost of lighting. The Auckland Club had spent a considerable sum on lighting their track, but the Hutt Committee were not deterred and decided to install the best possible. They cost £20,000. The system was recommended by the United States Harness Association.
The foundations proved quite difficult because the holes went down into what became high tide level, and these filled up with water, and they had to be done at very low tide level, otherwise there was quite a problem.
The tower opposite the winning post in which Judge G.F. Hogg was to view the finish. At the top of the tower is the photo finish equipment box and the commentator Freeman Holmes. Harold Murphy, pictured by the car, was on the committee making the changes to the track. They decided to put a slight camber on the straights to assist in drainage in wet weather and to bank the bends, rising to 5 feet on the outside. The surface of the track provided a problem. Roy McKenzie.
Thanks to Norm Croft, we went up into the Wairarapa and finally sorted out a mixture of shell and lime that to us looked to be the answer. After various trials, including a 1 furlong strip on my own training track for a period of a month, Mr. Murphy in particular went along with the suggestion, and in the finish this material was put on the track. This was for a 4.5 furlong track. We finished up getting a track that in size seems to be very successful, but more particularly the bends with this grading seem to be easy to negotiate for most horses, and there doesn't seem to be any interruption in the speed of the horse going from the straight into the bend.
With the track ready for racing, the club appointed a new secretary manager, Mr. Tom Marwick. A United States helicopter from the Icebreaker Glacier provided local residents with a thrill by landing briefly at the newly completed course in 1960. Little did these people know that the winner of the 1960 Inter-Dominion Grand Final at Harold Park in Sydney was to parade in the opening night, that great pacer, Caduceus. All was ready for Saturday, the 27th of February, 1960.
Come trotting tonight. What a way to relax. Come trotting with me. Get in on the fun. Come trotting with me. Come on and make track. Come trotting with me. What a way to relax.
We had 17,000 people, I think. A great opening.
I think it was a fantastic sight to see 17,000 people, and it gave everybody confidence that it's controlling and working, and to the committee and the fellows that were behind this, it was a tremendous thrill and a wonderful encouragement to them to carry on with it, to improve the facilities.
We didn't have enough totes, not enough seats, etc., for a crowd of that size.
The club's committee appreciated that facilities were lacking and decided to proceed with more expenditure, including erecting a pedestrian bridge across the Waipatu Stream. The bridge, these days hardly noticed by patrons, was at the time an asset that had saved people a quarter-mile walk to the track. Facilities like this were worth the expense, as the club's track was proving fast and good times were being run. Scottish Warrior, a 2-year-old pacer driven by Charlie Hunter, is seen here making the track record of 2 minutes 3 4/5. Note the powerful gait and the long stride.
Scottish Warrior, by Scottish Command, who incidentally holds the 1 1/4 mile record at Hutt Park, from Spangled Brigade, was to run third in the New Zealand Derby as a 2-year-old and win 4 races in the same season.
Another improvement to the park was the rebuilding of the old public stand called the Creswell Stand. Roy Mackenzie tells how it got its name.
Well, I think in my knowledge came from the fact that one of our committee members, Mr. Creswell, was always raising the question of moving this stand, and as a result of this we always called it the Creswell Stand. Finally it was cut up into sections and carted up to Palmerston North for the Manawatu Trotting Club's horse. They were glad to have it, but I think they then had difficulty in getting a permit to put it together again. It had too much worm and what have you in it.
The new public stand costs $300,000 and accommodates 3,000 people. The main entrance to the park was the next improvement, and finally a new committee room was built and the secretary got a new office. This brought the club's assets to over $1 million, a tremendous figure, so much that the club employed 3 maintenance men all the year round, even though the park has only 10 nights racing each year.
Night trotting is a family affair. You see Mum, Dad and the kids coming down. And the beauty of it is that as a means of entertainment, I couldn't think of anything better at 50 cents each.
The admission charge has not changed for 10 years since the introduction of night trotting. One horse that kept those turnstiles clicking non-stop when it ran at Hutt Park was
Cardigan Bay, Cardigan Bay, the world's greatest pacer, all racing men say. From Southland, New Zealand to the far USA, he's known the world over, old Cardigan Bay. He was raised in Mataro, where farmlands are green, a frisky brown coat like many we'd seen. But out on the racetrack he soon showed his style, winning each major race in a very short while. Cardigan Bay, Cardigan Bay, the world's greatest pacer, all racing men say. From Southland, New Zealand to the far USA, he's known the world over, old Cardigan Bay. Some Americans bought him and took him away to race with the best in the far USA. He's broken all records, he's raced and he's won. There's no horse can match him when he starts to run. Cardigan Bay, Cardigan.
Well, the greatest time I can recall here, Tom and Dick, was that night in December 1963 when Cardigan Bay raced against time and recorded 1:56 and a fifth and broke the Australasian record.
Well, it's a great time, Harry, but then, of course, it's a great track, isn't it?
Well, there's no doubt about this track. It's the best track I've seen in Australasia, and I've been on them all.
And the length of it, Harry, you would say would be fairly right? You didn't think it should be any shorter or longer?
Well, it's not bad. A lot of them say it should be a half a furlong longer, but we think it's ideal.
Of course, the late Jim Donaldson, with his control, ran a great race with a straight-out trotter, didn't he?
Yes. And then we had Ordeal.
Ordeal.
The champion.
That was unfortunate that Ordeal struck a bad night when it broke, if you remember, on that top end there.
Yes.
So its record is not as good as it did make afterwards in America.
Of course, Garçon Roux was the first horse in New Zealand to break 2 minutes, wasn't it, on this
track? First 3-year-old.
First 3-year-old.
Outside America, ever broke 2 minutes.
Ever broke 2 minutes on the track.
That other horse of Mackenzie.
Former rugby All Black and on the Trotting Club's executive for 33 years, Harry Nichols has fond memories of the park, and along with Dick Sweetser and Tom Marwick enjoys recalling the highlights of racing here. But what of the drivers? Norm Croft.
On this track you've got 2 beautiful straights, and even the bends are so super elevated that you can go flat out, and if your horse is good enough, there is no excuse not to be able to win a race on the track, because the opportunities to get out or pull out, if you're in a jam, there all the time, except perhaps over the last furlong and a half when everybody is flat stick.
Well, I've had a chat with a few of the fellows that went over there, like Doug Watts, George Noble, Cecil Donald, Jack Litton and those boys, and they say that our track is equal, if not better, than any that they've raced on, including Yonkers and the whole lot throughout the world.
Well, they're the drivers and they're the men who know.
So they came to Hutt Park to race. All classes of horses, all types of races.
Light Evander by Great Evander from Thial, owned by F.R. and F.M. Weaver at Otara, is an aged bay gelding trotter.
Some came to talk, others to walk.
Deus, a 4-year-old pacer by Dusky Valley from Princess Jenny, trained by Roy Purden at Pukekohe.
Some get nervous and have to exercise a little.
Scottish Dancer, a 5-year-old pacer in the 2:15 class by Scottish Command, now a leading sire, from Sweet Parish. He's trained by his owner, Gordon Bradley at Woodville.
Still talking. Not really just another friendship renewed. Harry Nichols.
It was hard work getting people to come to the trots years ago. But now they're coming and most of the young people are coming. And now we have the night trotting. It's booming.
They're off this time. And they race along the straight now with just on 4.5 to go. And Golden Capri shows the way from Lady Madonna getting the trail. French Shell is next. It's followed by Gay King and Eden All. And these are followed by Stormy Ken, who moves round on the outside of Welcome Hanover. Further back on the inside is Ruth Evander, followed down on the fence by Moringa. Further back, Golden Capri now from Stormy Ken. They race to the judges' line, and Golden Capri will be the winner from Stormy Ken and Eden All. They're followed then by Jean Batten, who came home well alongside of Frenchell. They're followed by Lacado and Moringa. Then before Golden Capri, driven by Gigi Jones. Second was number 12, Stormy Ken, driven by T. Molina. And third was number 1, Eden All, driven by D.N. Hayes. Fourth was number 5, Jean Batten, and the next one home was number 2, Frenchell. 3:14 and 3/5 the winner's time, a mile rate of 2:09 and 3/5.
Secretary Tom Marwick is a busy man on race night, while others find a moment to discuss their picks. Whether the choice is profitable or not, these men take more of an interest in the running of the club and its future. Roy Mackenzie.
I think the next few years are going to be very exciting with the promotion of the new member stand. More promotions, perhaps for some special races. I hope particularly a few flying invitation mile races. I think this generally will add a great deal to the excitement and public patronage which we're going to gain in the next few years. The younger people seem to be enjoying night trotting, turning out much more, and I think we can look forward to seeing a lot more of them in the future.
The judges' line at Satchbury in the middle, followed by down on the inside Packy Pocket, and further down to John Lee. They're followed home then by Light Evander, who'd get up to be third in a photo from John Lee, I would say. But Tatsy Marie had it won, then further back. Now Tatsy Marie, raced by Mr. E.C. Sunkel, is a black mare, 5 years, by Thunder On from Tatsydale, trained by F.E. Newfield and driven by the trainer, started from the 36-yard mark, and the winner's time, 4:27 and 1/5. 4:27 and 1/5, a mile rate of 2:13 and 3/5.
As a tribute to Cardigan Bay, the club named its members' bar the Cardigan Bay Lounge, and each year runs the Cardigan Bay Stakes, which attracts fast horses and makes for exciting racing.
Knowing the world over, old Cardigan Bay.
Jack and O'Bay on the inside, and out in the middle of the track was Snowline and Raukalad simply locked together. Regal Hanover next, further back, followed by Hakem and Sands, and further back to...
The winner is number 8, Snowline. Second, number 6, Regal Hanover. Third is number 3, Jack and O'Bay. Fourth placing to number 5, Raukalad. The winner won by a nose between second and third, half ahead to the fourth horse.
2:39 the time, a mile rate of 2:07.
Snowline, an aged pacer of the 2:11 class by Brahman from Snow Jane and Jacquinot Bay. A 6-year-old bay gelding by Thurber Frost from Montargis.
They're off this time. Royal Court, driven by Nell Burkett, it bowls along in the lead. Briganelli gets the trail, is followed by Eastern Star, then Precocious, followed by Dunluce Castle. They race towards the winning post, and Royal Court's the leader. From Frosty Lass, followed by Briganelli. Then the favourite, Geffen, trotting beautifully, is following Frosty Lass at every side. By 2 lengths, wins it from Precocious. Frosty Lass third in front of Eastern Star, who came home well. Further back to Royal Court and Sutera, followed by Dunluce Castle. And Geffen, raced by Mr. R.A. Mackenzie, is a 4-year-old by King Creed from Craven, trained by C.S. Hunter at Cambridge. And Geffen, one of the greatest young trotters the country has ever had. In winning, Geffen has broken the track record tonight. He has trotted 1.5 miles in 3:12.
Meetings usually go without a hitch, mainly due to the efforts of the committee's regular meetings. President D.I. MacDonald.
Well, this could be another historic occasion insofar as the club is concerned. When Norman told me some 2 months ago, I think, that he wanted, as a finale to the film that he's been preparing for quite a number of years, to have a meeting of the full committee, I said that I would certainly try to arrange that. And I'm grateful to you all for being here tonight. Around the table here, there are many of the stewards who were associated with the change to night trotting. They, along with the stewards that have been elected in recent years, have seen increasing changes. We're moving ahead all the time, there's no doubt about that. We put to the Commission the fact that we should have on this track up to 18 or 20 permits each year. And I still say we won't be completely economic until we get there. We won't have horses in the district, which is another one of our ambitions, until we provide racing for those horses for all classes. That new member stand is, of course, the target that most of us, I hope all of us, have ahead as the next major development. These objectives are ahead of us, and I think we'll get them. We're getting the public with us. To see the younger people that we do in front of the stands these days at our meetings is surely an inspiration and an encouragement to us. I don't think the Wellington Trotting Club will look backwards ever.